Hey everybody, Rob here at etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the CURT Class 1 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2019 Toyota Corolla Hatchback. Now here's what our hitch is going to look like once we have it installed. It has a really clean, almost factory appearance because the cross tube is going to be completely hidden behind the bumper, and the only thing we're going to see is the receiver tube sticking out. Not to mention, it is pretty close to being flush. It's just in from the bumper, so it still has that really nice clean look, nothing sticking out too far. Now our Class 1 hitch is going to give us an 1.25" by 1.25" receiver tube opening, and it's going to be great for bike racks, some smaller cargo carriers, or if we're going to do some light duty towing. Just keep in mind, if you are going to be doing some light duty towing, there is a specific drawbar or ball mount that's available for our hitch here, and you can pick it up here at etrailer.com. But regardless of how we're going to be using our hitch, all of our accessories are going to mount to the hitch pin hole here on this side. Our hitch is going to accept a standard 1/2" pin and clip. Now these are not going to be included with your hitch, but you can pick them up here at etrailer.com. Now obviously you need a spot to hook up your safety chains if you're towing a trailer, and here we're going to have a loop style welded to the bottom of the receiver tube. And you can see even with some normal, somewhat smaller size hooks, we have plenty of room to get them hooked on or take them off. Now as far as the weight capacity goes, our hitch is going to have a 200-pound tongue weight. That's going to be the maximum downward force at the end of the receiver tube. It's also going to have a 2,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. That's how much you can pull, but that does include the trailer and everything we have loaded on it. So with all those numbers in mind, you want to double check your Corolla Hatchback's owner's manual, because we don't want to exceed the manufacturer's rating for our car, because these are the ratings for the hitch. And I'd like to give you a few measurements, and these are going to help you out whenever you're looking at accessories for your new hitch, like a bike rack or even a cargo carrier. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost edge of our bumper is right about 3.5 inches. The measurement's going to help you out when you're looking at a folding accessory to make sure you have enough room to put them in the upright stored position and not make contact with the rear bumper. Now from the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is right about 12 inches. Now with that height, I would definitely recommend a bike rack or a cargo carrier with a raised shank. That way we get a little more ground clearance out of it since our Corolla sits so close to the ground. But now that we've seen what our hitch looks like and gone over some of the features, let's walk through the installation together. To begin our installation, we want to come to the very back of our hatchback, and we're going to move underneath the rear bumper, and we're going to come to the edge right where we have this lower panel section where it's this black section compared to the color of the body. Right here on the edge underneath the bumper. Now right where our lower section of the panel meets that center section, on the edges we'll have 2 screws. You want to pull those out. You can grab a Phillips bit or a Phillips screwdriver. We'll pull the 2 screws out on this side. And then once we have both of these out, we want to move to the other side of our hatchback. And we're going to pull out the other 2 screws. It's going to be the exact same location, just on the other side. Now if we move in just from where we remove those screws, we'll see we got this little plastic clip. In the center there, we can see that it's kind of poking down and catching on the edge of that panel. Just want to grab your finger, push up so that center section goes into the slot, and we just want to work our way around finding all of these clips so we can push that panel out. Now I recommend doing this by hand, just slowly going through, finding all the clips, just getting them a little bit started pushing through, because we don't want to start pulling on our panel and potentially breaking those clips. You may have to reach up pretty high to get the ones that are above the bumper beam here, but there's plenty of room. You just want to, again, just go through, find each one of the clips, start pushing it through until we get that entire panel to come out. Now once you get your panel pretty loose and it starts to pull away, you do want to be careful because you don't want to drop it, but also we're going to have a couple wiring harnesses that will be attached. They're going to be towards the top, so we should be able to get it loose and away from the car enough before we disconnect them. You'll notice on one of our clips we do have that wiring harness attached on one side, and actually we're going to have another one on another clip towards the passenger side. We need to make sure we get those clips out of there because it's not going to go through the opening, and again we don't want to break the clip or the clip on the panel. So you can take a flat blade screwdriver, trim panel tool, pretty much whatever you have available, and you just want to pull that clip out so that it can come out of the body, and then we'll repeat that for the one over here. Once you have all the clips removed, we'll go ahead and set our panel aside where it won't get damaged. With the center section of the fascia removed, we need to remove our bumper beam. Now, there's going to be a total of 4 bolts on each side that's holding it in place. You are going to need a pretty long extension because if you look inside, it's actually right behind the bumper beam itself, right against the frame. So you want to grab a long extension and a 12mm socket, and we're going to pull out all 8 bolts, 4 on each side. Now, I do suggest leaving 1 bolt real loose as your last bolt so it doesn't fall, so you can make sure you have a firm grip of it and you can take that last bolt out by hand. Make sure we grab it and very carefully start pulling out. There are going to be some tabs that are holding the center section in, so you may need to kind of wiggle it around, but then once you get it towards the end, you do want to be extremely careful because the opening's a little small. You don't want to scratch your car, so you just want to make sure you get it around everything and it's not going to get caught in anything or start scratching the paint. So now on the back of our bumper beam where it was sandwiched against the frame, this is that tab I was talking about right in the middle that kind of was hooking onto everything. We need to flatten this out. The easiest way to do that is just grab yourself a hammer, give it a few taps, and just make sure that it's not going to be sticking out past the flange here. We'll do that on both sides. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove this lower section of our fascia. It's just going to be held on by these push pins, and we'll find them right coming off the supports of the body. Now, it isn't necessary that you take it off. I just want to take it off because it will give us a little bit more room, and we don't have to worry about scratching any panels because it'll be more open that way. But if we come to those push pins, there's going to be little notches on the side. You're going to take a trim panel tool, flathead screwdriver. You're going to pop out the center section, then we'll come out to the base of it and pull the rest of the push pin out. We'll take our panel and we'll set it aside. At this point, I'm going to get an extra set of hands. We're going to lift our hitch and our bumper beam into position. We're going to line up our factory holes with the holes through the hitch and the bumper beam. And in our kit, they're going to give us new hardware. So you want to get at least 1 bolt started on each side. Maybe a little difficult, but that's why I suggest getting an extra set of hands to help you line everything up, kind of hold everything in place so you can at least get 1 bolt on each side started. We won't have to worry about the hitch or the bumper beam falling down. But it's going to get the same combination of hardware for all the holes, so we just want to make sure we go back and put the rest of them in place. And once you have all your hardware in place, you want to grab a 13mm socket along with that long extension and go back and snug up all the bolts we just put in. Now that all of our hardware is snug, I'm going to come back with a torque wrench and I'm going to torque it all to the specified amount in the instructions. I'm going to make sure you go back and repeat that for all your hardware. At this point, we'll go ahead and put our fascia back in place. I'd like to start with the center section or the upper part first, then we can get the lower section in because we are going to want to watch out for the receiver tube. So we'll just line up our clips and push everything back into place. You want to slide the lower section of your panel in place. Again, you just want to watch out for the hitch here. We'll line up our clips. We'll start working our way around, making sure it clips back into place. It's not a bad idea to go back underneath, double check all the clips and those fasteners for the wiring harness as well. Put our push pin back in for our lower valance and the screws on each side, and once you have all that back in place, that'll finish up your installation and your look at the CURT Class 1 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2019 Toyota Corolla Hatchback.